Israel is not only concerned about terror attacks, but also Iran's nuclear program. The deadline for the talks between Western powers and Iran over its nuclear program is coming up, and Israeli officials are concerned it could be a bad deal, not only for Israel, but for the world.
Do not sign a bad deal with Iran. Don't sign a bad deal with Iran that enable Iran to remain a threshold nuclear state.
Yuval Steinitz, Israel's Minister of Intelligence and Strategic Affairs, met with foreign reporters. He warned that Iran is not being flexible in the current nuclear talks with the West.
But on the core issue of the uranium enrichment capability, they made almost no concessions. We believe that no deal might very likely pave the way for a better deal in the future if the pressure on Iran is preserved or increased.
Steinitz said Israel's concerned Iran will try to insert loopholes in the agreement.
That Iran will try to bypass all the restrictions by cooperating with North Korea or with other rogue regimes in the future. Iran cannot be permitted to develop, to complete its R&D on more efficient centrifuges, because this is the best way to bypass the breakout time of the initial agreement. If they are not properly handled, if these loopholes are not totally closed, it enables the Iranian to bypass the agreement and to make the agreement meaningless in the future.
He also warned allowing Iran to enrich uranium will lead to a nuclear arms race in the Middle East.
If Iran will be allowed to preserve thousands of centrifuges for uranium enrichment, then other countries in the vicinity will demand as is. Then Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Algeria, Sudan, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, you name it.
Steinitz said the stakes in these talks are the future of the world.
This is going to create a new dangerous world for decades. This is really about the future of the world, not just about the future of Israel or the Middle East or about the security of Europe and the United States. This is about the future of the world. And therefore, we think that only a very good comprehensive deal will do. And we think also that the world has the capacity to compel the Iranians to agree at the end of the day for a good deal, because the Iranians need to save their economy. They badly need an agreement. And therefore, in the end, if the world will insist that Iran cannot preserve its nuclear capabilities, its dual use or military nuclear capabilities, the Iranian will have to give it away. The Iranian will have to compromise. So far, unfortunately, they made only cosmetic, minor concessions on secondary issues.
How big is Iran's new infrastructure? In other words, if they do go nuclear, how many bombs could they build?
This will give them the capability to produce dozens, between 20 and 30 nuclear warheads every year. Not immediately, but after a few years. So in a decade or so, once Iran will get nuclear, in a decade or so, they might have a stockpile of 100 nuclear weapons and much more in the future.
He also told us that Iran's ambitious missile program put Europe and the United States in range.
Since they continue to develop and they invest vast resources, longer-range missiles, although Israel and the Middle East are totally covered by the Shihab 3, now they are investing a lot of money in order to develop missiles that can reach London and Paris. Mm-hmm. And later on, intercontinental ballistic missiles that can reach the United States. This should remind people in Europe and the United States that it's not just about Israel and the Middle East. They are already building missiles, ballistic missiles, that can reach Europe and America.